this Collaborate board is an awesome way to start the lesson with an activity that gets kids going right away as they're coming in, so they don't have to wait for everyone. So I'm going to do that. And you'll notice one option I have with the Collaborate board is to approve posts if I want to. I'm going to trust you as adults. So as you're coming in, please feel free to pop your name, which school you teach at, if you have a grade level subject area, and if you have any burning questions about Nearpod, let me know those as well so I can be sure to address them. And I'll give people just a minute or so to add to this and let us know who's here, and then we'll move on. And if you're just joining, this is the code to join the Nearpod, KNGI7. Almost King, only reversed letters. So I'll give people just a moment. All right, moving ahead, one thing you may be wondering if you're new to Nearpod is, what does this do? How does it work? Oh, and I must have said to approve it. There we go. Oh, that's a good question. My favorite things. I'll try and share that. You may be kind of wondering, what does this do? How does it fit? One of the couple things I want to tell you about that. At Nearpod, what we're really trying to do is provide you a tool that brings all of the things that you might need as you're teaching a lesson into one place. So think engagement, informative assessment, quizzes, results, interaction, collaboration. It's all in Nearpod. And from a teacher perspective, you have full control over what students can see and when. And to give you a sneak peek, you're seeing my screen as a teacher. I can quickly flip to student view. I'm also going to go live to a student screen so you can see what that would look like. It's very flexible. And one thing you may want to do today, and a really great way to help students with this, is create this Nearpod as a set of notes that you can keep. So if you click on the little notes icon, I can save that to my Google Drive or send it to myself via email, and I will have all of the slides that are in this presentation, as well as any notes that I might take on individual slides. So that could be a great way for students to keep track of the learning that goes on. So I'm going to move ahead, and my first activity after the Collaborate board is a quick poll. How familiar are you with Nearpod? And there are quite a few choices here, from everything from you're brand new, haven't used it before, you know how to use some existing lessons, you can create your own lessons, you can add activities or tweak existing lessons, launch quick activities, go from live to student paced and back. Take just a second to highlight your knowledge, and the nice thing about a poll question is you can set it up so students have one answer or they can pick multiple answers, and just click submit once you've chosen your answers. So I've got one brand new, a brand new, and a know how to launch. Great. All right, experienced user. All right. I may ask you questions. All right, I'm going to move on from there. As I mentioned, there are so many different tools that sometimes it's hard to remember the logins for them all, how to get to them, what to do, move in and out of your Google Slides or some other slides to make the activity. In Nearpod, it's all in one. If you want to make interactive slides, you can import your Google Slides or make slides right in Nearpod. And we've been making improvements to the Nearpod slide editor this fall. And there have been quite a few. If you need an interactive video, you can now easily embed your interactive videos into Nearpod or add interactive elements to videos that you bring into Nearpod. So add discussion questions, make stopping points with prompts. Very easy to do that. You can collaborate with a Collaborate board. Gamification, of course, time to climb is super popular. Great way to get kids thinking quickly about the content that you're teaching. There are simulations in Nearpod. There are virtual reality locations, 9 different types of formative assessment, thousands, literally thousands and thousands of standards aligned content lessons, the ability to annotate your screen and open up a whiteboard so you can draw right on it, and the ability to allow students to create their own their own Nearpods. And what we really want to do is provide multiple points of entry. Just like for students, we've tried to give them content that is accessible wherever they are. We are trying to do exactly the same thing for teachers with Nearpod. So there are tons of lessons that you can take right off the shelf and launch. If they match your curriculum, run with the lesson as it is. If you like parts of it, but some other parts of it aren't quite what you need, or you want to present a part of the topic a different way, you can tweak a pre-made lesson and adjust the content, adjust the activities. You, of course, can create your own lesson, or you can just grab one quick activity. So maybe as a starting point, all you do is ask a poll question for your students as they walk in the door, or give them an open-ended exit slip as they walk out. All of these are ways that you can quickly and easily access things in Nearpod. If I'm working along and all of a sudden I kind of think, I wonder if people are understanding, I can grab a quick activity, add an open-ended question or a draw it slide or a true or false question, and get some quick feedback from my students right in the middle, even if it was unplanned. So Nearpod gives you that flexibility to plan your lessons, but also adapt to what your students need. Of course, the lesson library is extensive, and identifying lessons from within that is sometimes challenging. So on this slide is a link for tips for using the Nearpod lesson library. And this gives you some more information about the Digital Citizenship and Literacy Collection, which is an additional collection of lessons that you have in JCPS. And the next slide is a video that explains how to search the library. The cool thing about videos when you have them in Nearpod is that you can set it up so that it's eyes to the front. You're all going to watch my screen and while I play the video, or I can let the video play on everyone's device. So if people are at home or remote, they could, or have headphones, they could put their headphones in and listen to it. But again, it gives you some flexibility. I'm going to say this device only, and I'm not actually going to press play here for time's sake. But when you go back and watch this, you can see the searching. You can search by grade level, by standard, by keyword. It really is a flexible way to find activities, videos, and lessons in Nearpod. And one thing that some people don't always think about is we tend to save the engagement for after the lesson, but why not start with it? Start with a time to climb. Even if students don't know the answers, that sort of primes them for what the lesson is going to be about and what they might learn. Have them do a matching pair to give you a sense of who knows about this topic already, or ask them to do a draw it. What do you know already? But get kids going from the beginning so they're engaged and ready to dive in deeper. So here are just a few ideas that I collected from different people I've talked with. The question about my favorite activity or favorite thing about Nearpod, I think drag and drop hands down is my most favorite new feature. And I have a drag and drop later that you can try. But honestly, I think beyond that type of activity, my favorite thing is the flexibility. Because one of the things that I really love is I can create a lesson that starts out whole group, as so many of our teaching does, especially in the elementary school. And then I can switch my lesson to a student-paced mode, so I can send students off either to work individually, and I can provide differentiated content on a slide, or to work in small groups, and I can have different content on different slides. So that flexibility to pull in resources that apply to the whole group, resources that I can apply individually or in small groups, and then bring everybody back together again, I think is really powerful. So draw it. Great way to annotate something, get a real-time sense of what kids know, especially younger students, with allowing them to draw right on a slide or circle. A poll is always a quick way to check understanding, and something that young students, given fewer options, can easily answer. Having students create their own Nearpods is a very exciting way to show their learning. Watching students work in real time, I think, is powerful. And if you can, because you can share a slide as students are working on it, then you can ask kids to share their thinking. One of the biggest positives to Nearpod is the ability to make sure that every student has the opportunity to be heard, not just the ones who are quickest or raise their hand or say the most. Giving every child an opportunity to respond promotes equity and ensures that all voices are acknowledged. You also can very easily highlight important topics. This lesson that I linked is one about the current, and this lesson is just from October 21st or October 11th, but it's talking about the TikTok challenges that are going around and kind of the problems with those. So it's a great way to present a topic that is often very close to kids now, but do it in a way that promotes positive conversation and problem solving around how to deal with it. So this is another Collaborate board, and I'm just going to give you a minute or so to throw out some of your ideas. What are you thinking? How do you use Nearpod? What are your best tips? This is where I always learn the most, in hearing from others about how you're using Nearpod in the classroom. Where do you see it fit? What would you like to do? So I'll give you about a minute to brainstorm some of your ideas for how you use Nearpod in your classroom. And one thing, if you haven't played with the Collaborate board, not only can you type a response, but you can also search the Google image library and put a picture. So if I wanted to look at a picture for Collaborate, I could choose that and save it and post that to the Collaborate board. So that's kind of a fun way to show learning as well. And again, when we're thinking about differentiating for students who might not be as skilled, maybe I can type the first few letters of the image I'm thinking about and share that instead of having to type out a whole response. All right, I'm going to jump ahead. And the next section of this is a self-paced section. So I'm going to now turn this over to you for a couple minutes and allow you to do a little learning about amphibians. And just as how I've set this up as a teacher, this content activity is a Sway, a Microsoft Sway, which is just a really cool way to present content. It moves and it allows me to click in to learn more about different things. But this one is all about amphibians. And I chose this just because I love the pictures. I think it's visually exciting. So what I'm going to do, if you see down here at the bottom, is that I'm going to turn on student paced mode for the next few slides and allow you, actually I think it's to 17, allow you to walk through these slides yourself. So read about amphibians, and after you read about amphibians, you're going to have a couple activities to do. And if I'm in the classroom with students, this would allow me the time to walk around and interact with kids, maybe help support students who need more language support in understanding vocabulary, or provide additional extension to students who have already done some of it. And you know how that kind of thing goes. So I'm turning on student paced mode. And that means you can work ahead at your own pace. So I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes to work through the content, learn a little bit about amphibians, and participate in some of the activities. And then I'll bring you back together. As you're working, one other feature, sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to show you this so you knew it was there. We also, oh, well, actually, I hadn't been talking until then. I was, yep, students are self-paced, so they should be working on their own. But one other feature that you can enable, and this is something teacher by teacher can enable in their managed Nearpod area, but you can turn on the Immersive Reader feature. And what this little icon, the book with the speaker, does is it will read the contents of the slide to the student. And I think most exciting is not only will it read it to them in English, but they can adjust it so that it can also read it to them in another language. So all I have to do is click on the little book and speaker icon.
Sort the animal pictures. Put amphibians on one side and not amphibians on the other.
And if I wanted to actually put this into a different language, I could choose that language and it would translate it and then read it to me in that language. I can also zoom in line by line, couple lines. I can do some work with font sizes, colors. So if you have students with challenges who need that different contrast, you can do that. I can also highlight different parts of speech. So if I wanted it to identify all of the nouns, I could have it show me where are the nouns in it. So I think the Immersive Reader is an exciting feature that can be really beneficial to a lot of students. And you can change how fast the voice goes. So it could be slower if you need to slow it down. So the Immersive Reader, I think, is fun and incredibly helpful. If you're sort of wondering, wow, especially for young elementary students, this seems like a lot of things to learn, there are Nearpod lessons to teach how to use Nearpod that will teach the different tools. So you could do one quick lesson on kind of, here's your orientation to how to work within Nearpod, and then your students will be good to go. So you can see how I can sort my amphibians. My final slide here, what was the most interesting thing? This is a draw it slide, so students could hear the instructions, and then I could draw the most interesting thing, or I could use a text box to type the most interesting thing. And then final activity is a little matching lesson on understanding what you've learned about amphibians. So I am going to turn off student paced mode. And now that brings everybody back together. So I'm now in control of the screen for all of you. So I can see the work that people have submitted. And one of the nice things is, as you're submitting work, you can share that work out to the whole group so that students can see what's going on. And as I mentioned before, sometimes this is a great way to have students articulate their thinking and explain what they were doing as they were doing that work. So in real time, I can see exactly how people are doing, what they're understanding. And then on the matching, I would see how people did on the matching, how many tries they took, and how many matches they got correct. So again, lots of in-the-moment formative assessment data. There we go. So that is a very crash course in things in Nearpod, just scratching the surface, but hopefully giving you a sense of all the different possibilities within Nearpod, the ways you might use it. And here are some resources to support you as you dive in deeper. So first one is our quarterly camp is coming up next week. Camp Engage Fall is happening next Thursday evening through Sunday afternoon. There are over 70 different sessions about Nearpod, and this year we've designed some tracks. So there's like a beginner Nearpod track, but again, just tons of exciting sessions. There even it's the closest thing I can describe it to is a poetry slam, but it's a Nearpod slam. So if you're interested in presenting your awesome Nearpod idea, you can submit a short Flipgrid describing that idea, and then you may be selected, and there are prizes for those who are selected. So this link will take you to register to Camp Engage. Like all of our sessions, if you can't attend, register and the recording will be sent to you. And with Camp Engage, if you're unable to attend, but you register and you watch the recording within the week after, actually, I think it's the week after Thanksgiving, you will still receive a certificate showing your participation. So that's kind of cool that not only do you if you couldn't be there at the exact time, if you watch it later, that still counts. There are also tons and tons and tons of resources on our Nearpod website that will help you. So as far as training goes, we do have district cohort webinars that are specifically for our districts that are using Nearpod. Those are totally free, and the November, December sessions are tips, tricks, and quick ideas for using Nearpod. We also have weekly webinars that go everything from Nearpod 101, the basics, to much more advanced, to integrating Nearpod with Google Slides. The topics change every week, so feel free to look into those. We have a number of quick how-to videos right on the website. We have an awesome blog. That content is updated typically at least once a week, if not more than once a week. So if you're looking for ideas specific to language learners, social studies, language or special education students, you will find a blog about it. And if you click on that link to the blog section, there is a search, so you can search the blogs. They are written by Nearpod professional services members as well as Nearpod users. We have a great YouTube channel with tons of videos on YouTube. We also have a super active Facebook community. When I first started working at Nearpod, I learned as much from the Facebook community as I did from anybody else, because there are questions posted every day, and there are Nearpod moderators who answer some of them, but some of the best answers come from the other users who are part of the group. And then if you're interested, it's not hard to become Nearpod certified. All you do is attend a training, design a lesson around our best practices, and then deliver that lesson to at least 3 students and submit it to the Nearpod certification team. And you can earn your Nearpod certified educator badge. It also unlocks some kind of be in the know, first to know about events. So it's kind of an exciting way to learn more and use Nearpod more. Couple really sneak peeks about things in the future. Time to Climb, beginning shortly after January. You know how tech enhancements are. It's hard to pin a date down yet, but in the new year, Time to Climb is going to be enhanced with some time, the ability to slow down the questions if you see that there's a need. You also can pause and address misconceptions at the point of the question. You are going to have additional themes and the ability to control the volume. So we're really excited about improvements to Time to Climb. The other thing I think is so exciting is that the Collaborate board is going to get some intensive work so that it becomes much more collaborative, allowing you to arrange student posts in categories or columns. It's also going to allow students to respond to each other's posts, so students can actually type a response on a post. And you'll also be able to attach a reference media like a PDF or a video to help provide additional information relevant to the content of the Collaborate board. And then we're really have been listening carefully to feedback around the reporting. And we know that that's some of the most critical information is, how did my students perform? So enhancements are coming to our reporting section, a new format that's going to give you a bigger picture look across all students and across multiple activities and even multiple lessons. So I think that is going to be really exciting to people. And again, all of these enhancements are coming in the early part of 2022. So be on the lookout for some of those in the future. And as always, we continue to increase our library of videos and activities and lessons, as well as our partnerships with other organizations who provide content inside of Nearpod. So, if you didn't find a particular area before, don't assume that it's not there now, because we typically add new content every single month. So it's worth searching again if you didn't find something the first time. So as we wrap up here, I offered an open-ended question or question box. What was the most valuable thing you learned today? And or do you have additional questions? So I'll pause for a second and see. Feel free to add your question or your most valuable learning experience. And one thing to note, which I think is really important for younger students, is the ability to just record an audio clip. So I could just speak my question, which is great for kids who are challenged by all the typing or students who have different needs and need to be able to speak it. So I'll give you just a minute. You'll notice I can enable the Immersive Reader so I can have that read to me. We'll give you just a minute to
Karen, that was great information. We really appreciate the session. We will make sure to get that up on the digital learning channel so people that could not join us live today will be able to go back, watch it on demand, use the power of pause to learn how Nearpod can help them with their elementary school instruction.
Sounds excellent. I appreciate the opportunity to share today.
Thank you. You have a good weekend. And thanks to all our viewers. Thanks for joining us on your Gold Day. We appreciate you coming to learn with us and spending your time with us. And like I said, we'll get all the videos from today up on the Digital Learning channel. Have a great weekend, everybody.